Welcome, jesters. All right, let's talk about something fun, interesting, current. Minimum wage. I know, something fun and interesting and current. All right, here's my thinking. It is a very easy legislative win to just look at what they're doing in the blue states or blue cities and do the opposite, right? That's what all the evidence suggests. They raise the minimum wage in California and costs skyrocket and unemployment skyrockets. Everything that they don't want to happen actually happens. So I think here in Florida, we have a tremendous opportunity to chart a new course or whatever. Pick your political language, but do something really novel and innovative by eliminating the minimum wage. Yeah, I'm serious about this. Just completely eliminating the minimum wage and maybe even killing two birds with one stone. Now, right now, the minimum wage in Florida is $16.75 per hour, with the tipped minimum wage being $10.98 per hour. Okay, well, I say, yeah, if we get rid of it, then based on all the evidence we have from other states raising the minimum wage and costs going up, I think costs in Florida will go down by simply eliminating the minimum wage. Now, mind you, when I say we eliminate the state minimum wage, yes, they'll still be subject to the federal minimum wage. Not a fight for right now. Let's just put that out there, even though technically, constitutionally, the federal government really has no business dictating a minimum wage. It is unconstitutional. Again, a fight we don't really want to fight right now. However, I do think that there should be a minimum wage in Florida merely to adjust up the federal tipped minimum wage so that the actual broad base for everybody minimum wage in Florida is the $7.25 minimum wage. Yes, I'm saying we need to eliminate the tipped minimum wage because that is partly what has allowed the explosion of over-tipping or tipping culture to become a thorn in everybody's side. Okay, nobody likes this. And, just to the people in the service industry, we know it's not your fault. We know you didn't bring this on. It was, oddly enough, I'm not one to use this kind of language, but yes, the evil, greedy corporations, Stripe, really, did this with the iPad, the screen. Little turnaround, do you want to leave a tip? This really is all their fault because this wasn't a thing before that became so prevalent. Now we're being asked to tip everywhere, even, with self-ordering kiosks and all this kind of stuff, and people are just done with it. I don't go out anymore, partly because I just don't want to deal with it. I avoid restaurants because I don't want to deal with the whole tipping thing now, right? It was 12, 15, 18, 20, now, 22, 25%. No, I'm done. I don't go to places where I know, I don't go to quick service where I know they ask for a tip. I haven't been to Everglazed in years because of that, right? It's just something I don't want to deal with. And we shouldn't have to live like this. So I think we have an opportunity to just end that culture, or at least hamper it here in Florida. Now, mind you, most people don't mind tipping the actual servers. And if that requires an adjustment into how the service industry works, particularly restaurants where, maybe the back house legitimately is salaried, right? They are salaried for doing their job, which really they should be. And by the way, I'm not a living wage kind of guy. That's all lefty nonsense and rhetoric. So I'm not really advocating for it based on that. I'm just saying things are just too complicated. And we really need to simplify this. People should just be paid for the work they do. Now, the reason people don't mind tipping like the actual direct interactive people like, the servers and bartenders is because, put it this way, managing personal interactions like that is widely variable, right? Even in a restaurant or in a bar, right? Some people are very low impact, right? They're easy to deal with. They just put their order in, they eat their food and they go. Others are a little more demanding, right? I mean, even just wanting extra sauce, more water, all this kind of stuff. Now, mind you, that's perfectly fine, right? The restaurant is there to provide a good experience. And so it's okay to ask for those things. But, if you ask for these things, maybe there should be an expectation that you tip a little more to the server who provides these things. And that's totally fine. People don't object to tipping. It's just, it's gotten too much. It's gotten too far. And one of the excuses that, businesses use to require tips is the tipped minimum wage, right? And really, it's just a way to, offset the cost of employment to the guest, which no, that's just not right. I mean, again, I'm not a living wage kind of guy, but, if you have a job, you should just get paid for it, really. And this, I've actually believed this for a long time. It's nothing really new. So, yeah, it's time. It's time to change. Now, unfortunately, here in Florida, the minimum wage is in the Constitution, so the legislature, just can't pass this on their own. So we would require another constitutional amendment. But it's very simple. Really think you could get broad support for something like this by focusing on the fact that we can really reform tipping culture and go back to what it was. Actually tipping your server and the people that actually provide the service directly to you, right? Instead of, tipping machines and things like this, right? Let's just go back to the good old days when, it was 10% for actual good service and everybody else, including the server, just got a regular wage. Okay. Again, not a living wage or anything like that, just got a regular wage. And here's the thing: for all the lefties that are going to start whining and moaning and crying, that they want to cut everyone's wages to $7 an hour. No, it's just not going to happen. I mean, it's one of those things that I'm not even really worried about it because it's just not going to happen. Most people are paid well above the minimum wage, so yeah, I'm not really worried about that. And our friends on the left, another thing that just doesn't work for your side is you keep complaining that we should be more like Europe, with strong labor protection laws where people do earn a fair living wage. Well, guess what? A bunch of countries in Europe, like Germany, France, the Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, they all got rid of their tipped minimum wage a long time ago. Yeah, so if they did it, we can do it too. So, and also, just to remind everybody again, maybe we should, I know, relax guys, maybe we should be a little bit more like Europe in this regard. They do tip in Europe, and it is customary to tip in Europe, a very small amount based on the direct service that you are provided. And it actually used to be how we tipped here, €1 per plate or €1 per drink, right? This works out sometimes to maybe 5%, 10%, depending on the cost. And that's how it used to be here. And that's what we can get back to here in Florida by eliminating the minimum wage, eliminating the tipped minimum wage, and actually taking care of the people that provide us great service. Well, I'm right.